All right. And we should be live. Okay. Twilight Apprentice back with a live stream. Talk about genre fiction, pop culture, collectibles, movies, all that kind of stuff. Kind of whatever I'm feeling on any given day. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about Eternals. News that came out over the weekend, but I've been a little busy kind of obsessing about the build I'm doing for some custom display stuff. You see some of it behind me. Building a new display for my 12th scale action figures. Well, here, right here, it's going to be sets of shelves for just Star Wars action figures. And going to be loosely based off the Star Wars Rebels, kind of the ghost ship theme. And then here, I'm building a digital display that will have kind of a starport, a view outside a starship window. It's be pretty sweet. And up here, I'm going to have space for graded comics. I can swap those in and out, whichever one I want to display at any given time with my 12 scale action figures. And then over on this side, I'm going to build up a case for would be over here too for my 6 scale figures, and then probably put a couple statues over here. So anyway, building that out. So apologize, the background looks a little disrupted right now because I'm trying to finish that assembly and then customize the display a little bit. But some news came out for the Eternals, and been watching this a little bit. I saw the last trailer they released. It's interesting. They had a last trailer or final trailer like a month ago, but now they have a final trailer. Apparently, can't fault them for trying to promote their movie, even if they're misnaming those a little bit, maybe to capitalize on some hype. But yeah, Eternals. Let's actually just read this article. This showed up in a couple different places. This news, so I don't know who scooped it first. But I have an article from the Direct because when I searched on Google, that's the one that came up first. But yeah, Marvel Eternals' new trailer includes weirdly edited Avengers in-game footage. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the news about the runtime. And we're just going to talk about Marvel in general. Like, what are my thoughts on that? Where am I at personally? If nothing else, this will be an interesting catalog for me to go back and look at later, and see if kind of my predictions and hopes and concerns were well founded or panned out at all. I guess we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, let's. I don't know if I'll read this whole article, but let's scan through it real quick. In less than a month, Marvel Studios will be back in theaters with a potentially critical darling. Potentially critical darling. Man, I can't even get past the first sentence, and let's talk about this. Who is this? Richard Nebbins? I don't know this guy from Adam, but potentially critical darling. So potentially, yeah, I guess we're hoping this is the case. There's some threat it might not be the case. I don't know why you would feel the need to put potentially in there, but potential. There is potential for this movie. There's potential for this movie to be a lot of things, probably. Potential critical darling. So we're hoping for critical acclaim for this movie, but not fandom. Interesting choice of words there. And then darling, like this thing is supposed to be dear to us. I don't know. Article already seems like it's trying really, really hard. And yeah, I love Marvel movies. I kind of want to see this movie, but just laying it on a little thick in the opening sentence here. Anyway, let's see if we can at least get through the first paragraph. Okay, in less than a month, Marvel Studios will be back in theaters with a potential critical darling, which will come with the release of Eternals in early November, taking the MCU story back to its earliest days in the timeline before the before following up on a post-Avengers Endgame universe. Directors looking to bring something truly special into the franchise's ranks. I think Marvel had something incredibly special. Um, and I don't know if we're going to get much more of those special things. So I guess can't fault them for throwing a lot at the wall to see what sticks to bring some new special stuff into the franchise. I don't know if this is the correct attempt to try to do that, but they're certainly throwing a lot at us with this one. Um, it's like 11 new characters, 12 new characters or something in this. Okay, so now that the release date is so close, Marvel looks to ramp up the movie's promotional tour to keep the release fresh in fans' minds and tease smaller bits of the story along the way. They haven't really teased much of the story at all, to be honest about it, but we'll see. With two full trailers having been released in May and August, the plot's general layout is starting to come together, while fans begin speculating on more specific details that will reveal themselves later. Um, we'll actually take a look at the trailer. I have no idea if I'll get struck for that or if the video will get taken down, but who cares? Um, we'll take a look at the full trailer and maybe I'll mute it or something so I don't get banned on YouTube. But I don't think they've told us anything about the plot. We'll see though. Marvel has utilized various techniques to promote its 26th feature-length movie, including throwing this guy into a commercial in LA. Now a more traditional round of promotional materials has made its way into the light. Okay, so here we go. Eternals goes full Avengers in new spot. Marvel Studios released a new 30-second teaser for its November release of the Eternals. The footage starts with Salma Ajax setting the stage. Yeah, we've seen all that before. Okay, so here's the interesting part. Or actually, I don't find it interesting. I think they're hoping we'll find it interesting. Additionally, the footage was edited to include black dust emanating from the characters in nearly every non-Eternal shot before fans get new dialogue from Hayek. Paul Rudd Scott Lang was also saw a second of screen time in this trailer with black dust surrounding his upper body. New lines also come from heroes like Richard Madden. Yeah, they're doing like all the nostalgia baity callbacks they can do. Like, look, we're heroes too. Again, can't fault them for trying. They don't have the star power that made the Marvel franchise what it is. So they've got to come up with new stuff. Yeah, just a bunch of photos there. On its base level, Marvel Studios utilized arguably the biggest movie ever released in theaters to help that's Endgame and Endgame and Infinity War. I wonder if they're talking about Infinity War specifically or Endgame here, because I think the Infinity War. I mean, maybe it wasn't as well attended and made as much money, but I think it was a better movie. I think of it as bigger. It was kind of the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion. So on a space level, Marvel Studios utilized arguably the biggest movie ever released in theaters to help with hyping this new release, including shots of Scott Lang and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man before showing Bruce Banner's Nano Gauntlet snap. Also included in the footage was a hint of black dust in nearly every shot. While the movie will showcase the Eternals' earliest days from 7,000 years ago, a large portion of the plot will focus on the teams dealing with new threats almost immediately after 2019 Avengers Endgame. Let's get through the article, then I'll talk about it. There's a lot of movie to movie in this movie. I already talked about how many characters that there are, and now they're interweaving two different timelines and two different plots, ostensibly. As we'll see. The second full trailer revealed that the team has 7 days to stop whatever deviant-based entity threatens Earth, and it doesn't appear to be very long after Bruce Banner brought half the universe back. Along with the classic Marvel action and a couple of new shots, familiar lines, blah, blah, blah. As a whole, this trailer continued to build a level of hype don't know if I buy that either. I've seen no hype for this movie. I kind of want to be hyped by this movie. I guess Charlie from Emergency Awesome is kind of doing uh, videos for it. If anybody's making content for this that isn't kind of just like the normal hater crew of anything, Disney or big business, whatever. I don't see any level of hype for this movie. As a whole, this trailer continued to build a level of hype. I guess it is a level. I would just say it's a low level of hype for Eternal's arrival, while keeping the vast majority of the action and plot a secret. The next few weeks will continue that trend before its highly anticipated release in theaters worldwide. Make its theatrical debut on November 5th. I guess we will see how it does then. I think it's already decided that it's not getting a China spot, so we'll see how it does in the rest of the world. I have no interest in the comments here. So yeah, let's look at this stuff. The black dust around Scott Lang. I had this article up. This was reported in other places here. I just got CBR.com, their thing up. Speaking of to Fandango, okay, that's who originally released it, was Fandango's interview. Zhao acknowledged that the reported 156-minute runtime, 2.5 hours, man. 240 almost, is correct, and she explained it could be longer. Yeah, I guess it could be. There's been longer movies. I don't think there's been longer Marvel movies, though. So yeah, let's talk about this. I'll just leave this up. This one shows them all swirly. This movie, man. I was going. I read this article. I saw the trailer. I know went out and read a couple articles, and I was trying to think in my head, why am I concerned about this movie? There's lots of reasons to be concerned about a movie. Bad casting, previous outing. I think of movies that I loved that kind of took a dip, that sophomore slump, and then came back and were fine. You've seen that in movies before, but Marvel had a pretty good run, right? Even movies that reportedly were kind of stinkers. I saw Thor: Dark World in the theater and had a really good time. Sure, it didn't hold up to the first Iron Man movie, or Captain America: First Avenger, but it was a good time. I think we look back at it now and say it was pretty good compared to some of the recent Marvel stuff. Anyway, I was trying to think of why am I nervous about this movie? And I think part of it is there is 10, 11, 12. I can't even tell you because I don't know. Even looking at the posters and the trailers and stuff, I can't even remember how many new characters are in this, let alone who they are, how they're different from each other. So there's a ton of characters. It looks like the movie's going to have to spend at least some amount of time, if not a fair amount of time, explaining away why the cast, why these characters were nowhere near the Thanos conflict. So sure, we're gonna spend some time with that. There's obviously all this nostalgia callback, Eternals symbol, all that kind of stuff that they're going to try to work in. So even though, it can be just like single scenes or quick one-liners, it still all has to be in that runtime, even if it only takes 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there. All that fan service stuff is going to be in there. And then it was a different article, but there was a lot of talk about how this story and these characters, they're going to try to humanize the existence of heroes and through time. And that, to me, paired with what Marvel has done recently in their Disney Plus series, and honestly what I've seen in the trailers a fair bit, seems to indicate that there's going to be a lot of people standing around or sitting around or cooking food and talking in this movie. And that seems to be Marvel's go-to scene making now is let's put some characters in a room or on a city street and just have them talk through what we could have shown the viewer. Um, and in my opinion, it's made for some pretty low impact, uninteresting movies and TV shows of recent. So it sounds like we're going to get a lot of that. So in 2.5 hours, we're going to have just say 10. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 10 characters that we're supposed to care about. An interwoven times set of plot lines, two plot lines that span two different time periods. All this explanation for where they've been and why, and they're supposed to be like the Marvel Universe's first set of heroes. I guess we're supposed to care about them more than the heroes that have actually built this franchise and sold more merchandise than all of us can fit into our houses mostly. So okay, that's a tall order. What other movies, what other franchises have pulled this off? So I was trying to think, like, where have I seen a cast this large that's actually turned into a good movie? There's lots of ensemble casts, right? Even in like really mainstream science fiction hits like Aliens, right? Or even Alien going back. I can't remember how many crew members there were there, but 6 or 7. There's probably 5 people in Aliens that we, really get to know and care about. So not much there. Lord of the Rings, I got to that one. That's a good sized cast, right? There's 9 there, but I would argue that Legolas and Merry and Pippin really don't get much screen time and don't get explored at all in the first movie. Whereas, in later films, they Boromir is dead, the Gandalf is missing, the Fellowship's broken up. Spoilers for a for a book that's been out since the early 1900s, by the way. Yeah, so those characters get their time to shine in later movies, but so really large cast there, 9, not quite Eternal size, but they did a good job, even though some characters were they were there, they delivered their lines, but we didn't really get to live in their skin much. And then another one that popped into my head was the Oceans movie, Oceans 11. So I guess there's 11 people in that plan. There's a few that we get to know well, Danny and whatever Brad Pitt's character is. And then everyone else plays a memorable role for me, except for the 2 brothers. And they were kind of interchangeable. You could actually almost call it Ocean's 10 because that brother pair that was always arguing and fighting amongst themselves, like they were kind of inseparable. They were almost like one character. They were one bit. But aside from those 2, who I couldn't tell apart, they each kind of had their own thing, right? They were there for roles, though. So the contortionist was the contortionist. The demolitions guy was the demolitions guy. The driver was the driver, right? The smooth talking con man was the con man, right? They each had a role that identified them more than a character. And maybe the Eternals will do that. Maybe they'll have, the speedster, the weapons master, the I don't know. Maybe it's traditional MMO roles, right? You have the mage and the rogue and the tank and the healer. Maybe they could go that route. I don't think they will, though. I think they're going to go with the sit around and talk method, and it's kind of going to be interchangeable. Anybody could say these lines. It's just who do we give them to at this point? That's what I'm picking up from the trailer so far. So can a cast that big have distinct characters and unique feel and be meaningful? Yeah, maybe. I think other exceptional movies have managed to pull it off. I will say that Lord of the Rings had decades of cultural knowledge behind it. that propped up a cast that size. That Eternals, even though it's been around for, I'm not a huge Jack Kirby fan. I never read the Eternals. I don't know when they were released. I'm guessing in the 70s. Um, even though they've been around for a long time, they're not in mainstream, thought. Right? These are not household names. So it doesn't. Even though you can point to certain examples where a cast this size has succeeded, there's kind of been some extraneous circumstances that have helped that out, either leaning on kind of cultural awareness in general, or on uh, archetypes, job descriptions, right? That I don't know if the Eternals will have. So there's that, and then there's the repeated comments by the director saying that this movie is humanizing the heroes. Um, we have human heroes. We can humanize them. But I guess these Eternals that have been around for 5,000 years, 10,000 years, whatever it is, they need to be humanized. Sounds like a lot of sitting around and talking. So let's look at this trailer. Let me see. We'll give a little volume here. This is all stuff we've seen before. Oh, hey, no. Let's see this. We get to see. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 heroes. All right, I should have known that. But we're introduced to some other characters in the trailers as well. I have no idea what their names are or who they're supposed to be, but there's other characters, right? Even in Iron Man wasn't the only character who got a lot of lead time. We had Happy Hogan, we had Pepper Potts, whoever the antagonist is. Presumably, they're at least going to try to set up some kind of big bad in this thing. So we're going to need to get to know them. It's just a lot of people to get to know. I will say that there seems to be more color in this shot. The shots of the Eternals I've seen so far, they're all kind of just this taupe color on a gray background. So I guess we're getting the purple one, the red one, the burnished bronze one, or I guess kind of like copper and anodized copper. The white one, the blue one, the blue and gold one. So I guess we're getting a little. This one is dressed in black gown. Anyway, we're starting to get a little more distinction there, but anyway, bad guys. So that's been present in every trailer. If this is a 2.5 hour experience of explaining why these characters haven't done anything yet, that's a really droll origin story. And we've heard instructed by who now. I don't know the names of any of the Celestials, but the main Celestial has told them that they weren't supposed to do anything that wasn't deviant related. Deviants are supposed to be like deviant humans, but looks like in the trailers there's like demon dogs and dragons and stuff. So I guess we'll see on that. Nice simple moment. Quippy one-liners. Joss Whedon forever changed the way Marvel does dialogue. Yeah, I guess these are deviants. I thought they were supposed to be like aberrant humans that were dangerous for some reason, but they seem to be more monstery. Yep, more fighting. All of this seems to be from the same fight, by the way. We'll talk about that a little bit. Marvel does this. A lot of movie theaters do this now. All these fights seem to be kind of from, it's probably early in the movie. Seems to be the same fight. You protect it. But I guess unless somebody tells you not to. Yeah, like this. I guess this is humanoid. They've been more dog-like since then. The speedster. There's a dragon. She's like the new Hela, I guess. The good guy Hela. Makes weapons. Yeah, I want to find the other video that had all the smoke stuff. I'm not going to look for it now, but um, here's the deal with this trailer. I don't know. They have this line. Where was it? Oh, it was toward the bottom. Yeah, here's the last paragraph. As a whole, this trailer continued to build a level of hype for Eternal's arrival while keeping the vast majority of the action and a plot a secret. So, everything we've seen in these trailers so far, um, I don't think we've seen anything about the actual plot of this movie. And if we have, I, I think Marvel's probably really worried. The reason I say that is this. Um, Marvel has apparently made an art form that they're proud of out of misleading trailers. And as somebody who, for years of my life, avoided trailers entirely because I didn't want to be spoiled on anything, I was the guy in the theater with my ears plugged and my eyes shut, going la 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 under my breath, so I didn't hear any of the previews before movies. And now these days with the internet and so much media out there, they're just kind of impossible to avoid. So I actually kind of appreciate when studios make an attempt to hide hide spoilers for their plots, right? Um, but you get lines like this in this article that says, um, while keeping the vast majority of the action and plot secret. Where was that line about speculation from viewers? It doesn't matter. Um, Marvel has made uh, scenes just for trailers, right? Which is cool. Makes for amazing trailers. Trailers are almost as fun to watch as the movies in some cases. They're really well put together. They've used CG to pull characters out or swap characters, change characters' looks in certain scenes in trailers to either hide their role or some change that they go through. Um, Everyone probably remembers that big scene where all the Avengers for Infinity War are seen together, like charging forward, and you never get that scene in the movie because in the actual plot, a lot of those characters never actually managed to meet up. That's part of the reason Thanos moves so quickly and so aggressively that everyone's still trying to resolve their own conflicts, and Cap and Iron Man still aren't talking, so like they never actually fully get to assemble to fight Thanos, and of course they get their asses kicked. So there's that scene. Everyone is kind of hyped for that scene where all the Avengers are charging together, and not in the movie. Turns out things happened way differently, and it was way worse for the heroes. You got movies like Captain Marvel, where the trailer was all about Skrulls bad, right? We need a hero to fight the Skrulls. They're invading humanity, and how can we fight an enemy that can look like anyone, right? Captain Marvel's going to come and save us for that. Turns out, nope, Skrulls need saving. So trailers, maybe even you can make the argument, should be a little misleading, right? But ultimately, they have one goal, and that's to market the film, right? It's to get butts in seats, have you sign up for the streaming service, have you buy a ticket and show up in the movie theater. Like that is the actual goal of the trailer. And you want to do that well, build that hype while spoiling as little of your movie as possible. So it's impactful, it's meaningful for the viewer when they're there watching the movie in the theater or at home, wherever. Then you get the Marvel angle, like the Disney Plus show Loki, where that show looked amazing in the trailers because it looked like Time Bandits or Quantum Leap, the Loki version. And I'll just speak for myself. I was excited to see the god of mischief moving through time and space to influence, presumably to his own benefit, right? To influence events through time. That, like a troublemaker, quantum leap guy, that sounds fun. And the trailers played on that, right? That whole, the one that really sticks out in my head was the DB Cooper scene where he's on the plane and winks and jumps out in the money and he calls out for Thor and Heimdall to get him. Yeah, total throwaway line in a flashback. Uh, it wasn't even a flashback. It was like a memory video replay thing used to embarrass him and to break him down in a flashback. Um, the movie or the show, I guess in this case, promised in the trailer seemed way more interesting than what we actually got. I loved the way Loki started. The first couple episodes were amazing. And then for the, I don't know, the other 6 or 7 episodes, I can't remember how long that was, they just sat around talking. Oh, we need a fight scene before the episode ends, and they fight each other or get kicked in the balls or something. Anyway, it just fell apart. And my point bringing it up is not to bash on Loki. Loki, you broke my heart. You started so good. It's not to bash on it, but it's to point out how misleading the trailers can be. So, looking at this Eternals trailer, I think we have no idea what the movie could be. There's just enough track record to indicate that the trailer could be literally anything, and the movie could be exactly in line with it or 100% opposite. It almost doesn't matter. You got to take them as different pieces of media. One is designed to get people in the seat, and the next seems to be designed to explain why these characters haven't done anything yet. That thread, that where have you been all this time, seems to dominate, I don't know, 40% of the trailer time that we've seen so far in the, 3 or 4 trailers that have come out for this. If that's the case in the movie, um, I don't know, doesn't seem like a very fun watch. But according to this writer, it is a potential critical darling. I hope it's an actual cult classic fan favorite. But what we've seen so far, I don't know. There's just enough question marks that I want to be more excited for this. It's just hard. It's hard for me to get excited about this. And so I guess the last thing I want to talk about is Marvel in general. Where am I at on Marvel? I'm still a huge Daredevil fan. I miss the Marvel's Netflix stuff. I'll still collect original first print Daredevil comics. If any license more, 6 scale stuff comes out, I'll probably get it. The statues I collect are all Star Wars, so I don't know if I'll ever get any statues for it. But yeah, still love Daredevil. Really enjoyed my time with Iron Man and Captain America, Spider-Man. Never read those comics, but I love the films so far. But as of late, Shang-Chi was kind of dumb, right? It made the Marvel Cinematic Universe seem small, right? You had 2 armies of like 30 or 45 people fighting to save or fighting to defeat each other and then teaming up to save the universe. And in this mystical place that one person with a helicopter or a plane could have easily got to at any point. Yeah, it just felt really small. Yeah, one girl with a bow that she'd only just got like the day before took out this universe-ending threat. Yeah, and then Black Widow, I think, was just kind of a disappointment. It is made too late. Like they could have made a different movie, a better movie, when she was still, relevant and a major part of the storyline. Yeah, a retroactive origin film for a hero that has already run an amazing course over 8-10 years she was in that universe. That had a tough hill to climb, but I mean, it could have done it, and it didn't. It just disappointed. I had more fun watching the 4-hour Mahler video on that movie than I actually did watching the movie. And my son saw it too, separate of me. He went with a school group, and he's uh, they. I hope they weren't disrupting the theater. I think they had it to themselves, so probably not. But nobody was watching it toward the end. They were just talking amongst each other. They said it was boring. I didn't really think it was boring. I just thought it was kind of disappointing. Like they could have done anything. They could have made, a female James Bond or Jason Bourne essentially, and they didn't. Um, and then the Marvel morality of late. If we see Scarlet Witch in anything else, it better be as a villain, because she she belongs somewhere under heavy security after what she did in WandaVision and just walked away clear from. And you know the the hero who saved her children or whatever, Photon, I guess the new hero is, um, gives her a pass on it, like even kind of congratulates her for enslaving a city. Yeah, some questionable choices there. Um, Kang. We've removed free will from the Marvel universe with the Loki series. So why bother with anything? It's all predetermined by this eccentric, strange dude at the end of the universe. Um, I don't even know where to begin with the morality in Falcon Winter Soldier, and even in Black Widow, like the woman responsible for enslaving and mind controlling all of the widows at the end walks away, and I guess, you know, is everyone okay? I'm clearly injured. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's punishment enough that you hurt your leg in a crash that should have killed you 10 times over, right? It's just this kind of recurring theme of an absence of heroic character in these Marvel films recently. Maybe we'll get back to it with the Eternals. Judging by what the director's saying and what these trailers are showing, I don't think we'll get any. I don't think there's time for any of that. I think we're going to get an apology tour from a new group of heroes that they didn't do anything about any of these other threats. But there's this new threat coming, and trust us, we're going to help on this one. And you can't fault Marvel for that too much. I mean, these are new characters for them. Because they're constrained in this cinematic universe. I should make a video on that sometime. But their hands are tied, right? Actors age. These movies take longer to make than they, have show in elapsed time, right? These Eternals, I guess, span thousands of years. But let's click this off. Span thousands of years, but the plot line in the movie is probably gonna. Well, actually, they say it. They have 7 days to stop this threat. Movie didn't take 7 days to make, right? It's not going to run in theaters for 7 days. So you have these real life constraints of it takes years to make a movie. It takes decade to make multiple movies in a franchise, and actors age, right? They want to do other things. They retire. They say something Disney doesn't like and get canceled and replaced or just cut, right? So you need to introduce new stories, new characters, but you have your hands tied because you have this cinematic universe that everything has to interconnect and oh, it's so cool. This person knows this person, and like, what are the odds? And the odds are usually stretch the imagination at this point. So I don't know. Maybe they should just move away from the cinematic universe and just make good movies, not have to worry about we need to take a measurable chunk of our 2.5 hour movie, 2 hour and 40-minute movie, and explain why these characters haven't done anything when the stakes were high before. And there's just so many of them. 10 new characters plus all the supporting cast and ostensibly a villain of some type. Yeah. I don't know. It just might be out on on Marvel movies at this point. Wouldn't be the first time. There's other movies like I loved the first two Predator movies. I loved the first one with Arnold, obviously a classic. Danny Glover in the second one. I think it was Danny Glover and Gary Busey, if I remember right. Great movie. It didn't have the following that the first one did or has, but it was good. Everything after that, I I think I've seen another Predator movie, or maybe I saw one of the Alien versus Predator movies. It's like utterly unmemorable. So that's a franchise that I'm just totally checked out on. If they made another Predator movie that was releasing, this week, I don't think I'd go see it. I don't think I'd watch it on HBO if it was on HBO Max or Netflix or something. Probably would never watch it. Die Hard, loved the first Die Hard movie. I think I don't know if I saw the second one. I saw another one, the third one or the fourth one or something. That's fine. If they made another Die Hard movie, came out next month, wouldn't go see it. Just no interest. So it's fine for franchises to move on and keep making movies that just aren't for me anymore. It surprises me how fast that changed for Marvel. Because I was all just like everybody on the planet, apparently. I was all in on Infinity War, on Endgame. Um, Captain Marvel was kind of a head scratcher because, like, what do you do with your universe and your villains, and what stakes and tasks do you give your heroes once you have the I win button in that character? Um, Yeah, and just kind of broke the story. So that was a bit of kind of the first bump in the road for me. Um, so I this is a little aside, but it's just to kind of give Marvel a bit of a pass. This isn't just a Marvel problem. It's not just a movie problem. Play Magic, played Magic for forever, and one of the things that always comes up is power creep. A new set comes out and it invalidates past you know strategies and deck building ideas, or replaces beloved chase cards that people were paying high dollars to get in their collection so they could game with, and a new version comes out that's just a strictly better card. Um so power creep becomes a discussion, right? Are they ruining the game with power creep? And so it's not just movies that has that, but Captain Marvel was certainly that, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You would think with a character like Thor, with a character like Vision, uh, that the power level would have gotten so high that a grounded character, a really interesting character like Tony Stark, awesome, but he's just a dude in a suit at some point. Black Widow, Hawkeye, they're amazingly trained operatives, but they're just humans, right? They until Black Widow, when she actually is apparently indestructible in that movie, they're just people. How do you keep those characters who are beloved relevant once you have something like Captain Marvel there? They managed to do it with Thor. They managed to do it with Hulk, right? You still had relevance for these other characters. But I don't think they've figured it out with Captain Marvel yet. And then with these Eternals, like, I think they may just invalidate a lot of the more grounded, relatable. They keep talking about they want to humanize these characters. Um, they've kind of taken away the relevance of the actual human characters they have, or at least that's a threat. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling about the Eternals. Will I see this movie? Yeah, probably. Again, I'm enough of a completionist that it comes out, I'll want to go see it, and I'm not at all, black pilled on Marvel. They're losing me. Like, I'm no longer excited, like anticipating the next Marvel movie coming out. It's more like, oh yeah. I forgot that was coming, but yeah, I'll probably go see it. I don't know what it's going to take from them to get back to that event status. Like, I can't believe there's only 2 Marvel movies this year. I'm so disappointed. I wanted 4. I could care less. Like, if they do none next year, that's fine. And if they did 5, I'd probably go see them at this point. They would need more than just the disappointment of Black Widow and Shang-Chi to chase me away entirely. Um, but the excitement is gone. I'm more excited for movies like Dune. I'm more excited for movies like the new Ghostbusters, frankly. Um, yeah, there's a franchise that went away from me, but I'm finally excited again. And I think it's because, it's Ivan Reitman's son. Like, this one is clearly a labor of love, and sounds like he had a lot of leeway to make the movie he wanted to make. Um, I didn't realize how important that was to me until I saw the Snyder cut, and I think a lot of people didn't like the Snyder cut because it was so long. But for me, it was fantastic. It was one of the best things I've seen in a long time. And the reason was not because I'm a DC fan or anything, or even a Zack Snyder fan, but it was cool to see a creative get to see their vision implemented start to finish, right? And I guess as an artist, I really appreciate that when I get to work on my own projects. I'm never happy with them, but they're some of my most appreciated work, as opposed to like a commission piece or work for hire piece where I'm like told by a person or people, like, paint this, make this over here, move this. It's just at the end you have a commercial grade, like, this is a workman level, a journeyman level production, but there's no personal passion to it. What I loved about the Snyderverse, not the Snyderverse, the Snyder cut of Justice League, was that was a singular vision of how that movie should be made, and for me, it showed. It really showed, and I appreciated it far more than the uh, the theatrical release version of that. So those are the kinds of movies I'm most excited about right now. I'm really looking forward to Dune. I have no interest in, like, the cobbled together corporate monstrosity that has become the Bond franchise. Any of that stuff. I might watch it when it hits streaming, but probably not. Anyway, I'm cooling on the whole Marvel thing, and I hope they don't chase me away entirely with bad movies. I hope they at least keep me with good quality productions that are good stories well told. We will see, though. We will see. All right, that's it for right now. I'll probably be back tomorrow with something. Bye.